Long before young people hear the word spirituality, they've already been formed by the digital rhythms, the scroll, the feed, the unseen systems shaping attention, identity, and desire. What if formation is no longer a spiritual practice, but an algorithmic one? What if every notification, every like, every autoplay video is a kind of discipleship? Everyday digital culture reshapes how we think, connect, and grow. Formation is happening through the apps, the alerts, the invisible infrastructures beneath our screens. With AI algorithms' ability to adapt to us, learn about us, the question becomes more urgent. How do we guide young people in a world where attention is monetized and desire is engineered? This presentation isn't a critique of tech, but an invitation to see the digital world as a primary site of formation and to reimagine how it might shape us toward depth, presence, and meaning. Before we dive in, let me show you the map we'll be following. This presentation moves through 6 key movements. These represent a journey, a way of tracing how digital life forms us and how we might respond with intention and imagination. We begin by naming the disruption, the fractures digital life creates in our spiritual rhythms. We move to diagnosis, naming the deeper costs and what we've lost. Then we listen to desire. Beneath every tap and scroll, what are we truly longing for? And then we pivot to possibility. Can we design AI tools, habits, and practices that form us differently? What kind of discernment do we need to recognize what's worth our attention? And finally, we arrive at doing, the small intentional experiments with AI that can reshape how we grow, how we live, how we guide others. It's a journey from reflection to reimagination and renewed hope. Students today are digital natives, raised with devices, immersed in screens. I still remember life before the digital boom, but for these young people, long before they've developed the ability to reflect, their attention had been hijacked, their desires shaped, and their rhythms disrupted. The digital life today is 1,000 micro nudges, notifications, vibrations, infinite scrolls. Each one tiny, but together they teach us how to feel, what to desire, and where to look. Young people are living in a state of digital overflow, a constant curated stream, built for addiction and optimized for engagement, and it forms them silently. When I speak of disruption, I'm not just naming distraction, I'm naming disorientation, a seismic shift in how we attend, what we desire, and how we understand ourselves. Attention has become fractured. We don't follow thoughts, we skim. Presence has become a struggle. Desire is curated. We think we're choosing, but often the feed has already chosen for us. Our wants are engineered. Time is flattened. Urgency replaces rhythm. Everything feels either immediate or already too late. In identity, it's become pixelated. We become reflections of metrics, likes, follows, and streaks. Who we are starts to reflect through what we perform. And all of these shifts erode something sacred, the foundations of spiritual life, presence, silence, embodiment, and communion. This isn't just a tech issue, it's a formation issue. If we look at it more closely, apps are like liturgies. They teach us habits. We open, we tap, we scroll again and again. These rituals, like any liturgy, shape us over time. Feeds are like catechisms. They deliver constant input, often in question and answer form. Is this what you value? Do you like this? Do you want more of that? And notifications, they're like tiny altar calls. They summons us. Come now, click here, respond immediately. Each one says, this is urgent, this matters. These digital tools don't just influence what students see, they shape who they become. Every tap teaches immediacy. What matters is fast, now, reactive. Every scroll trains comparison. We measure ourselves by metrics and images. And every algorithm quietly whispers, this is what matters, this is what you should care about. So by the time we try to talk about spirituality to young people, about depth, presence, and meaning, we're speaking into a formation that's already happened that prohibits this. So the shift begins with awareness. We don't start by rejecting technology. We start by naming its formative power. So here are some key awareness shifts. First, we recognize that tech is not neutral. It forms us. Second, we begin to notice our habits, not just what we click, but how often, when, and why. Those rhythms are not accidental. Third, we ask, what values are embedded in this design? Is it pushing us toward urgency, comparison, performance, consumption? Every platform is preaching something, whether we realize it or not. And finally, we begin to see that there are alternatives. We don't have to default. We can notice and we can choose. Awareness is the first act of intentional engagement. It's how we move from being unconsciously shaped to consciously forming our lives with meaning, presence, and care. The digital world doesn't just disrupt our attention, it drains our depth. It trades stillness for stimulation, reflection for reaction. Psychologists call it continuous partial attention, always scanning, never settling. It becomes harder to sit still, harder to listen for long. Neuroscientists show our brains are rewiring, tuned for novelty, not reflection. In teens, social checking is altering brain structure, making them hypersensitive to validation. We're not just overstimulated, we're being subtly reformed. Predictive AI search technology finishes our questions before we finish thinking. Wonder is replaced by convenience. Infinite scroll abolishes endings. We lose the pause that might have led to rest and reflection. Likes and shares simulate connection, but slowly replace true belonging with performative approval. And constant input, always one more thing, crowds out the silence where wisdom might have emerged. We become people of reflex, not reflection. Digital life does not shout its influence, it whispers it. Psychologists note a rise in surface cognition, constant skimming, little sinking in. The space once given to reflection or prayer now feels too slow, even frustrating. Presence becomes performance. We curate ourselves, checking for likes, trapped in feedback loops of approval. Psychologists call it impression management, shaping how we're seen and creating anxiety. Communion becomes comparison. Connection shifts into competition. Stillness becomes stimulation. Social media rewires our reward centers, fueling loneliness even in hyper-connected lives. Silence, once sacred, feels uncomfortable, even unbearable. These aren't just psychological changes. We lose the space for intentional or spiritual formation. Instead, a more shallow or disordered formation takes its place. Every environment teaches us through what it rewards, what it repeats, and what it ignores. Digital life carries its own curriculum. Worth equals productivity. Metrics define value. Young adults report burnout and performance-based identity. Emotions become data. Grief, joy, even awe are quantified, tracked, and marketed. Reflection is replaced by prediction. Curiosity is monetized. Wonder turns into a search engine prompt and then an ad. Together, these unspoken messages form an architecture of disconnection, subtly shaping us away from wholeness. Naming this is the first step toward resisting it and imagining something more sacred. These aren't quirks of a digital generation. There are emotional costs of growing up in an always-on AI algorithm-shaped world. Chronic anxiety, psychologists call it anticipatory stress, always bracing for the next ping or judgment. Imposter syndrome, Curated lives magnify the gap between who we are and what we present. Decision fatigue. Endless micro-decisions drains our mental energy. Neuroscience shows this overload taxes the brain's capacity for reflection and discernment. And spiritual numbness, not apathy but saturation. Input overwhelms presence. Even awe and prayer feel distant. We're not just overstimulated, we're underexposed to presence, the kind that allows us to be, not just perform. And yet beneath all this, there is still a longing, a hunger for something real, something deeper than scrolls and screens. And this is where we'll now shift our focus. We often talk about distraction as a problem, like we just need to focus more, get better at self-control. But what if our constant reaching for our phone isn't just about filling a void, but it's about seeking something deeper? That impulse to check and refresh may actually be an echo of a more ancient question rising in us. Is there more? See, the real issue isn't simply that we're distracted, it's that our desire, our deep human longing has been redirected, displaced. We're not just losing attention, we're starving for meaning. This is the moment to listen to that hunger, not with shame or blame, but with curiosity, with care. This desire we have might just be the doorway to something deeper. It's easy to see only the dysfunction when we doom scroll. But what if distraction actually conceals a deep desire, not just for content, but for presence? What if the numbness we feel is masking a real hunger for depth? What if all our hyperconnectivity, or the messages, the likes, the posts, is a longing for real relationship? And what if the constant input we consume isn't just habit, but a signal of our search for purpose? There's something sacred beneath the scrolling. Hope doesn't start by fixing the behaviour. It starts by naming the longing, by recognizing that beneath the digital noise, something in us is still reaching out. What if we began to see these habitual desires as holy ground? Maybe binging isn't just a lack of discipline. Maybe it's a clue, pointing to a deeper emptiness we haven't named. Maybe the endless scrolling isn't laziness. Maybe it's restlessness, a sign that we're longing for something more. And those constant notifications, maybe they speak to a very human need, to be seen, to matter, to be remembered by someone. Desire isn't the problem. The real problem is what we settle for. We settle for noise instead of connection, for escape instead of meaning, for the surface instead of the inner self. What if we started honouring this desire? What if we stood on that ground with reverence? Transformation often starts with asking the right questions to help us notice, to pay attention to the deeper current beneath our habits. So here are a few questions. What are you reaching for when you pick up your phone? Is it just distraction, or is it comfort, connection, a quiet kind of hope? What's the ache beneath your anxiety? Is there a story there, a wound, a fear, or a longing that's still waiting to be named? These questions are invitations, the kind of questions a spiritual companion might ask, with gentleness, with presence. That kind of companion would most beneficially be another human. But in this new world, maybe it could also be AI. If it listens well, if it helps us slow down and notice what matters, if it honours our humanity with reflective questions. Too often young people get a bad rap for how they use technology, but young people today are already carrying enough pressure, enough shame. What they don't need is more of that. What they do need is space to pause, to breathe, to reflect, to remember what they truly desire. They need space to name what they've unconsciously settled for, the lesser stories, the shallow versions of meaning. And maybe most of all, they need a glimpse of the life they're being invited into, a life marked by depth, presence, and real meaning. This kind of transformation can't be forced, but it can be made room for. So far, we've been tracing the contours of a formation that's already happening to us through the topics of disruption, diagnosis, and desire. And now we shift again to imagining what might happen through us. We're going to look at design, discernment, and doing to ask, how might AI become a companion in this sacred work of intentional formation? This is where imagination begins. If technology is already forming us, the question becomes, what kind of formation is possible? How might we design digital spaces that form us toward presence instead of performance? What if AI didn't push, but paused? So let's explore how tech, shaped with care, could support depth and meaning. To design for meaningful formation, we need a set of values. These 4 principles offer a starting point. Attuned, not optimized. Not built for speed, but for emotion, rhythm, and what's sacred. Detachable, not addictive. Design that lets go, that honors attention rather than hijacking it. Relational, not isolating. We were made for connection. What if tech could draw us toward presence, not comparison? Curious, not corrective. Not to fix us, but to ask better questions. Design that is rooted in curiosity, that opens the door for reflection, not shame. These offer a way of designing that honors our inner selves. Designing for formation isn't about new apps, it's about new rhythms. Here are 5 possibilities. Prompting for presence, a gentle nudge, a pause to breathe, reflect, reconnect. A slower interface, built-in friction that encourages thought before reaction. Responsive reflection, search that replies with meaning, a question, a quote, a value. Adaptive sacred rhythms. What if your digital calendar could hold sacred time, marking rest days, reflection moments, or rhythms for work and renewal? Spiritual wisdom traditions. Ancient practices like the Ignatian Examen or the Sabbath reimagined for today. These patterns offer rhythms that quietly support the inner life. Spiritual growth isn't engineered, it's journeyed. And that's the shift we need to make. We don't need AI to take over the journey. We need it to walk with us in it, not as a coach, not as an expert handing us pre-packaged wisdom, but as a companion, one that listens more than it speaks, asks rather than instructs, and holds space for the sacred to emerge. We've briefly explored what's possible, how tech could support presence and reflection, but with possibility comes responsibility. And now we move from design to discernment. Working with tech requires protecting something sacred, the humanity of each person, which bears the imago Dei, the image of God. We don't just design for people, we design with reverence for who they are. This means asking deeper questions. How do we honour freedom, not reduce people to data? How do we protect the sacred, not just shape experience? Tech often reduces us to patterns and preferences, but people are not profiles or data points. They are human beings with stories, contradictions, and longings. In spiritual spaces, the questions around tech are not just does it work, it's does it honour what's human? What shapes us matters more than what serves us. And the inner life needs more than metrics, it needs wisdom. Designing tech for the spiritual context means protecting what's sacred, like autonomy. Formation must be chosen, not automated. We need invitation, not coercion. Privacy. Spiritual spaces can be intimate. It must be held sacred with care and trust. Spiritual freedom. AI may assist, but never claim spiritual authority. Theological boundaries. Not everything should be digitized. Some moments belong to the human, the embodied, and to God. Faithfulness means honouring these limits. It's a way of saying this part belongs to God. In spiritual tech design, the deeper question is, who are we becoming through this? We ask, does it form Christ-like character? Does it make space for spirit, silence, and mystery? And the most human test, would I trust it with someone I love? As we move forward, we need a different kind of developer, not just coders, but contemplatives, people who are comfortable with silence, slowness, and reflection. Not just designers, but discerners who can sense what's forming people beneath the interface. We need developers who aren't just optimizing for engagement, but listening for what's sacred. This is tech shaped by humility and spiritual wisdom. So we've walked through 5 shifts: disruption, diagnosis, desire, design, and discernment, each one building toward a more intentional vision of formation. And now we reach the 6th, doing, the invitation to begin with a small reflective step. I want to show you something that I've been developing and experimenting with. It's an AI-based spiritual check-in, inspired by the Ignatian Examen, but given a more secular feel, designed to ask reflective questions. I'll demo it through a recording. As I do, I want you to imagine, what might this feel like if it were just for you, in your own space, at your own pace? Hey there.
Hello, Angie. Welcome to this space of reflection. I'm here to guide you through a gentle practice of reviewing your day. Shall we begin by taking a moment to settle in?
Yes, that sounds good.
Wonderful. Let's start by checking in with yourself. How are you feeling, physically or emotionally, as you come into this space? Would you like to take a breath together or pause for a moment?
I'm feeling refreshed. It's nice and sunny here today, and there's been lots of wind lately, so I'm grateful for the sunshine and less wind.
It's wonderful that you're feeling refreshed. The sunshine can be so uplifting, especially after windy days. Let's take a moment to appreciate that feeling. As we move forward, would you like to reflect on what stands out from your day? Perhaps moments that felt particularly pleasant or challenging?
I feel good because I've been able to finish up a tech project, and I'm happy with the outcome of it.
That's a wonderful accomplishment. Completing a project, especially a technical one, can bring such a sense of satisfaction. As you think about this achievement, were there any moments during the process that felt particularly emotionally charged? Perhaps moments of frustration that led to breakthrough, or joy when things came together? Or anything else that felt especially real or significant to you today?
Yes, throughout the project, there's been lots of emotionally charged moments and late nights because I wouldn't put it down until I was able to fix certain problems. So I feel relieved and happy that it's at a state that I'm happy with.
It sounds like this project has been quite a journey for you. The relief and happiness you're feeling now is well earned. Given these intense experiences, let's explore your emotions a bit more. Are there any feelings from today or the project overall that are still with you? Perhaps lingering excitement or maybe some residual stress? Or were there moments where you felt particularly challenged or unseen during the process?
I feel excited, particularly at the moment. I'm hoping that it will be a beneficial product for other people to use.
Your excitement is palpable, and it's beautiful to hear how you're hoping your work will benefit others. Let's delve a little deeper into the meaning behind this experience. In what ways did working on this project feel particularly meaningful to you? Were there moments during the process where you felt a strong sense of connection to your purpose or a deeper awareness of your capabilities? Or perhaps moments that challenged your assumptions about yourself or the project?
I think it's the overall outcome that most excites me. I'm hoping that people will be able to use this piece of tech and deepen their connection to themselves and to their own conception of God. and help them to understand that tech can be used in beneficial ways for humanity to deepen their awareness.
What you've shared is deeply meaningful. It's clear that your project goes beyond just technical achievement. It's a bridge to help people connect with themselves and their spirituality. This vision of using technology to foster deeper awareness and connection is truly inspiring. As we reflect on this, is there a particular moment or aspect of this journey that you want to hold with gentleness or learn from? Perhaps a challenge you overcame that taught you something about yourself, or a moment where you wish you'd had more patience or self-kindness.
I've learnt a lot more about myself through this project and other projects like it. It's given me possibilities that I didn't know I have capabilities in.
It's remarkable how projects like this can reveal new dimensions of ourselves. Discovering these new capabilities must feel empowering and exciting. As we look towards the future, what do you feel you need as you move forward from this accomplishment? Is there something from this experience you want to carry with you, or perhaps something you'd like to release?
I'd like to release the outcomes of this. Like, I don't know how it will impact or have any effect on other people's lives. So I can't assume that it will have a beneficial impact. So I'd like to release the outcomes that I might imagine from this and to just be happy with my accomplishment through it and to gain some self confidence through producing technology like this.
That's a very wise and grounded perspective. Releasing attachment to outcomes while still honoring your accomplishment shows real maturity. It's beautiful that you're choosing to focus on your personal growth and increased self confidence. As we come to the end of our reflection, would you like to choose a word or phrase to carry with you? Something that encapsulates what you've learned or how you want to approach your next steps?
Maybe the words growing in awareness.
Growing in awareness. Those are powerful words to carry forward. They reflect both your personal journey and the intention behind your work. Everything you've shared is part of the sacred story of being human: the creativity, the challenges, the hope, and the growth. You don't have to have it all figured out. Just keep showing up and growing in awareness, as you said. Would you like to sit with these words in silence for a moment? Or is there anything else you'd like to express before we conclude?
No, that's all. Thanks for guiding me in this.
You're welcome. May your growing awareness continue to guide and inspire you.
So, this is just one version. But what about in your world, your role, your community? What if the tools we already use could be reimagined to return people to themselves? And then what if we imagined more expansively than just individual apps? What if we could reimagine the entire digital space into an ecosystem that helped form us on our spiritual journeys? Could the power of AI algorithms be redirected? What if technology formed us towards presence, reflection, and growth rather than distraction and comparison? That's the invitation, not just to create spiritual tech, but to imagine a redemptive alternative to the digital status quo. This is the kind of ecosystem that could be built: quiet, ethical, attuned to human experience. Imagine a digital world where grief is met with presence, restlessness leads to reflection, emotions open meaning, and distraction becomes a doorway to formation. The tools exist. The real question is, do we have the imagination? You may not see yourself as spiritual guides or even someone drawn to tech, but in your role, either as educators, leaders, designers, or support, you're already shaping the spaces where young people grow. Every schedule, response, and environment you influence is an act of formation. So the real question isn't if you're forming others, but how you might do it more intentionally. And can you do it in the environments where young people are already present, online? So my invitation to you is to try this app for a week. One prompt, once a day for 1 week. Not to fix yourself, not to optimize your life, just to notice, to reflect. This experience might give you ideas on how you would design something to let AI serve formation. If this has sparked a question, a possibility, a what if, let's explore it. Whether it's a project, a conversation, or an idea that won't let go. I'd love to help you shape something small and meaningful. Let's reimagine spiritual formation for the digital age. So thank you very much for the space you've held to open this thought. And now I'd love to hear from you. What are you wondering? What's stirring in you? What questions or tensions are surfacing for you right now?